Okay, so to begin with the circulation, we will need to understand some basic concept or basic facts about the blood or blood circulation. Now here you can see some of the important statistics regarding the blood. One is that nearly 8% of an adult body weight is made up of blood. That is, if you are 50 kg, around 4 kilogram of your body weight is actually formed of blood. So that will give you an idea of how much our blood is actually weighed. Now in the case of females, the amount of blood is between 4 to 5 liters. That is the total quantity of blood present in a person. Where in the case of male, it will be slightly higher because of more muscle weight. Then it comes to 5 to 6 liters. So that is the total quantity of blood. Now coming to the temperature of the blood, it is around 38 degrees Celsius. That is the normal temperature, normal body temperature of the blood. Then pH of the blood is between 7.35 to 7.4. That means that blood is slightly basic. You know that our normal neutral pH is 7. So any deviation from this neutral pH of 7 indicates either acidity or alkalinity. So in the case of blood, it is 7.35 to 7.45, which means that the blood is slightly alkaline or slightly basic. Then coming to the whole blood is 4.5 to 5.5 times viscous as water. Viscous means the thickness of the blood. We always say the blood is thicker than water. It is nearly 4 to 5 times thicker than water. That is the meaning of that. This more 4.5 to 5.5 times viscous. Viscous simply means thickness of the water. So that will give you an idea of what is the nature of blood. So then another thing about is that the blood in the arteries is brighter red than blood in the veins. So we know that when blood is oxygenated completely, it has a deeper red color. When oxygen is less in the blood or less in the hemoglobin, its color will be slightly less red. So the arterial blood, which has more oxygen, is brighter red in color, whereas venous blood is less brighter, less reddish in color. So these are some of the basic facts regarding the blood. Now coming to the functions of the blood, you can see that blood has basically three main functions. First function is a transport, then protection and regulation. So what are the important things coming under the transport? You can see that the basic function of blood is transporting gases. It is transporting oxygen, and then it is also transporting carbon dioxide and between lungs and the rest of the body. So this is how that is one of the main function of the blood. In the absence of blood, this transport mechanism may not be taking place. Another important transport is that blood is the liquid medium that is transporting our glucose as well as amino acids. So nutrients that are formed or absorbed in the intestine are transported to various parts of your body by the blood. So that is the second function. Nutrients from digestive tract, that means from stomach and intestine to storage sites and to the rest of the body. So whatever energy is needed by our body cells is actually produced by either glucose or amino acid, and they are actually transported to these cells by blood. Similarly, our body cells are producing a lot of waste materials like ammonia, urea, uric acid, creatine, etc. They are actually taken to kidney or liver, and that function of transporting waste material is also performed by our blood. Then another function of the blood is the transporting hormones. We know that in our body there is a system called endocrine system. Under this endocrine system, we have different types of hormone producing gland like thyroid gland, pancreas gland, adrenal gland. So all these glands do not have a tube system or a duct system. They are simply releasing their secretion into the blood. And it is the blood that is transporting this substance to various parts of the body. So that is how the transporting of hormones is taking place. Then another is transporting the heat. In our body, the primary organ that is concerned with the producing heat is the liver. Liver is producing most of the heat, and that heat is actually transported to various parts of the body by blood. So when blood is circulating through blood vessel, the heat generated inside the body will be reaching the rest of the body, like our fingers as well as our toes. So these are the basic function. One is transport function. Under the transport function, they are transporting gases, they are transporting nutrients, they are transporting waste products, they are transporting hormones, and they are also transporting heat. Then protection is also there. Under the function of protection, they are helping in giving us immunity, because when WBC and their antibodies are there, they are giving protection from bacteria, microorganism, and they are regulating our body heat, regulating the water amount of water in our body, amount of salt content in our body. So this type of functions are also carried out by the blood. Then we will see what is the composition of the blood. So coming to the composition of the blood, basically if you look at the blood, you can see that blood has two types of substances are present. Now if you look at the blood normally, you can see that. So this is the normal situation of the blood. You can see that there are two types of substances are present in a blood. There is a upper portion called plasma, then there is a lower portion known by the name the hematocrit. So here also you can see. So this is how the normal blood will be coming, and this lower, this is obtained when we take a blood in a centrifugal tube, and we are centrifuging it for some minutes. After some times you can see that most of the solid particles will be resting or settling at the lower portion, and that lower portion will be mainly consists of red cells. That is, they are occupying 4% of the 41% of the total weight, total composition or total volume. Then other substances are the plasma. Plasma will be constituting around 55%. Then we have also WBC. This WBC is what is present at the junction between this plasma as well as RBC. So RBC will be 41%. Another 4% is actually constituted by WBC. So together it is 45%. That is 45% of our blood volume is actually formed of what is called solid substance, and another 55% is formed of water or liquid substance known by the name plasma. So this is the details regarding the volume of blood. So that is there are, in the case of blood, we can find two types of substance. One is the liquid substance, which we call as the plasma. Second is the formed elements. Formed elements basically means the different types of blood cells like the RBC, WBC and platelets. So these are the three different types of substance that you can find, and they are always known by the formed elements, because they are always enclosed in a plasma membrane. So any cell which is enclosed in a plasma membrane is known by the name formed elements. What you are seeing here is are formed elements, because you can see WBC is here. This is the WBC. This is the RBC, and these are the platelets. So you can see these are the three different types of substance. All these will be having a cell membrane or a plasma membrane, and that is why they are known by the name formed elements. Then all formed elements are except are cells except for in the case of platelets they cannot be considered as proper cell because they are actually remains or fragments of bone marrow cells. Here I will show you how the bone marrow cells are appearing. It is from these bone marrow cells that we are getting the platelets. So this is the how the bone marrow cells are becoming the see. So our bone marrow is actually the organ that is giving rise to the our platelets. You can see it here. So from the bone marrow we are getting the precursor stem cell that becomes converted into another type of stem cell, and it is from stem cell are actually the primary cell. It is this from the primary stem cell we are getting the different types of cells. Some becomes RBC, some become WBC, and some become platelets. So this is the three different type of cells that we can find in the use of the formed elements. Then you can see that formed elements are here. You can see a good picture of the formed elements. Now coming to the different type of formed elements, one of the important type of formed elements are the leukocytes. Now in the use of leukocytes, you can see that there are different types again. The leukocytes are classified into granulocyte, and there are two types of leukocytes. One is known by the name granulocyte, and the second one is known by the name agranulocyte. Now, what is the difference between this granulocyte as well as agranulocyte? So, granulo means granules. So, if cells are containing granules, we call it by the name granulocyte. Whereas in the so agranulocyte, absence of granules. Granules are absent. So, they are known by the name agranulocyte. Here you can see that granulocytes are of three types. They are neutrophil, eosinophil, and the basophil. Whereas agranulocytes are consist of lymphocyte and monocyte. Here you can see in this picture also you can see that some of the substance, these are the monocyte, and this is the lymphocyte, and the neutrophil are also here. So neutrophil will be having more nuclear lobes. So this is how the neutrophils are normally present. Now going to the structure of the neutrophil and the structure of the WBC or leukocytes, they can be primarily classified into granulocyte and agranulocyte. In the case of granulocyte, we have three types. In the case of agranulocyte also we have two types. Now there is a term called hematocrit. RBC are denser than plasma and packed into the bottom of the tube to make a 45% of the total volume. That is, this is known as the hematocrit. Earlier I showed you that in this picture that RBC, the picture of this RBC and plasma I have shown. That is known by the name hematocrit. Here I will show you how the hematocrit will be appearing. This is how the hematocrit will. So this is known as the hematocrit. So here you can see that. See, the lower red portion is actually contributing what is known by the name solid substance or the formed elements, and that lower red portion is known by the hematocrit. Upper portion is contributing 55% to the total volume, is known by the name the formed elements. So this is how the solid substance of the blood are actually classified. Then you can also see that there is a buffy coat. See here you can see that this is the buffy coat. So between this there is a layer called as a slightly whitish layer, and that buffy coat is actually formed of WBC. Out of the 45% constituting the hematocrit, 41% is RBC, 4% is the WBC. So WBC is actually forming 4% of it. The remaining 41% here is actually contributed by the RBC. So that is regarding the hematocrit action also. Then here also you can see that another picture showing the same thing. Now what happens when two different situations are happening, that is also shown here. Sometimes you might have heard about anemia. Anemia, and the doctors say that you don't have sufficient blood. It simply means that there is no difference in the total volume of the blood. Actually what is decreased is actually amount of hemoglobin or amount of RBC. So here you can see that in the normal blood, that is the hematocrit will be around 45%. Whereas in a person with reduced hematocrit will be showing the symptoms of low blood or poor blood, reduced blood, then we call it by the name anemia. And there is opposite situation where is elevated or higher than normal RBC level of hematocrit, then we call it by the name polycythemia. So when more RBC is present, actually the thickness of the blood is 4 to 5 times. When more RBC is present, more solid substance are present, it means thickness of the blood will be increasing, and that increase in thickness will be reducing the speed of the blood. So that is the problem if the amount of RBC is increasing. On the other hand, if amount of RBC is decreasing, the blood becomes less thicker. So it will be flowing more faster. So that is another problem with the blood. So this is how the RBC and hematocrit are all arranged. Then we can see that coming to the next is the blood plasma. In the case of blood plasma, is actually a mixture of proteins are there, enzymes are there, nutrients are there, waste and hormones and gases. These are the different types of substance that we are finding in the case of the blood plasma. And in the blood plasma, the most important substance is the proteins. Here you can see that proteins are very abundant. There are 2-3 different types of proteins are also there. We have albumins, we have globulins, then we have fibrinogen. These are the 3 different types of proteins that we can find. Here you can see that in the case of blood, the proteins present in the blood, they have an important function. These functions are mentioned here. They are supplying amino acid. They are acting as carrier of many molecules. They are giving the blood the basic. Earlier we have seen that blood is 7.35 is the pH value of the blood. So that acidic nature or alkaline nature is actually contributed by the presence of certain plasma protein. They are also helping in blood coagulation. Then they are helping in the distribution of water between blood and the tissue fluid. So all these actual functions are actually controlled by the substance or proteins present in the blood. Now coming to the blood, we have 3 basic type of proteins. One is albumin, and they are the smallest and the most abundant type of plasma protein. The important is that any reduction in albumin content can result in loss of fluid from the blood and a gain of fluid in the interstitials. That is, if the amount of albumin is decreasing in your blood in the blood vessel, that means that more water will be moving into the tissue spaces, or more water will be moving out of the blood vessel. So total volume of the blood will be decreasing. So albumin are also involved in transporting many substances. How they are transporting? They are attaching with the many substances, and also like drugs, hormones and fatty acid. For the transport of these substances also, albumin is playing a very important role. So this is one type of plasma protein that we are finding in the blood. It is known as the albumin. Then here you can see that out of the different types of proteins, albumin is occupying 60%. The second most important is the globulin, and their function is basically transporting proteins and also acting as an antibody. And third is is the fibrinogen. They are primarily concerned with blood clotting. Then 1% of the total protein is actually formed of antitrypsin, coagulation factors, etc. And they are also have a minor role in the overall functions of the plasma protein. See, of the albumin, their main function is maintaining the osmotic pressure. There is a pressure of the blood inside the blood vessel. That is known as the osmotic pressure. If this osmotic pressure is more water will be filtered out of the blood vessel. If osmotic pressure is less water filtration will be taking place. This is the problem of increasing or decreasing in the amount of plasma protein. Then second is the globulin. Earlier we have seen that the globulin has an important function, primarily acting as antibodies and also in the transport of protein. So globulins can be subdivided into alpha, beta and gamma globulin. And of that there is a type of globulin known as HDL or high density lipoprotein, an alpha 1 globulin, then low density lipoprotein, a beta 1 globulin. So there are three types, alpha, beta and gamma. And under this category we are again dividing the globulin into different types, HDL or high density lipoprotein and low density lipoprotein. What is the importance of HDL is that HDL is functions in the lipid transport or in the cholesterol transport, carrying fat cells for use in the energy metabolism. So that is one function. Then for energy metabolism, membrane reconstruction and hormone function. So more HDL is present, more fat will be transported to our cells. If less HDL is present, little or less fat will be transported from our blood to different cells. That means more fat, more cholesterol will be remaining in your blood. That is why HDL is always considered as a good for cholesterol. Higher HDL means more fat will be taken out from your blood. Then another, HDL also prevents cholesterol from invading and settling on the wall of the artery. So that is another advantage of higher HDL. If more HDL is present in your body or in your blood, the cholesterol will not be depositing on the wall of the artery. More cholesterol will be taken and will be used by different types of cell. Another is the LDL. LDL is actually low density lipoprotein. It is a beta globulin. Function of the LDL is that LDL carries cholesterol and fatty tissues for manufacturing steroid hormones and building cell membrane, but it favors the deposition of cholesterol. So that is another harmful function that LDL is doing. In one way, LDL is helping in the formation of steroid hormones and also helping in the formation of plasma membrane or cell membrane. But this LDL is also responsible for depositing a fat called cholesterol in our blood vessel. So more LDL means more fat will be deposited. That is why always you may have heard of LDL is a good cholesterol, HDL is a bad cholesterol, because both HDL and LDL are not actually fat, they are actually protein. But LDL will promote the deposition of fat or cholesterol on the wall of the artery. HDL will be transporting this cholesterol into the body cells. So this is how the functions of LDL and HDL are related. Then another substance is the fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is basically producing a sticky protein substance known by the fibrin. And this fibrin will be forming a thread or a network. It's a net-like structure, and that network structure will be acting as a clot. So when we have a bodily injury, there will be loss of blood from your body. After some time you can see a clot might have formed there. This clot is actually a net formed by the different types of fibrinogen thread. So that is the main function of the fibrinogen. They are helping in the coagulation of the blood or clotting of the blood. Then we have different type of amino acids are the basic function of these amino acids are actually formed by the breakdown of the proteins. then a smaller, then lot of nitrogenous based materials are present in the head, and they are cleared from the bloodstream and excreted by the kidney. Then nutrients are present, glucose is present. Then we have amino acids are there, fats are there, cholesterols are there, phospholipids are there, vitamins are there, and minerals are there. So these are the various type of nutrients that are present in the blood. Then different types of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide are also present. Then electrolytes, sodium ions are present. Then these are all important in maintaining the osmotic pressure of the blood. So this is an idea regarding the different types of leukocytes and the functions of the plasma protein. In our next class, we will go into the functions of RBC, how RBC and then also the functions of the WBC. So these aspects we will be discussing in this next class, and also the functions of platelets. So today remember that this is what are the functions of the blood and functions of the blood. Then you have to see what is a formed element, what is a hematocrit. Then you should also know what are the functions of the proteins. Then what is a blood plasma, what is an idea about the functions of albumin, functions of globulin, then then also the functions of fibrinogen, amino acid, nitrogenous base, and nutrients. So that was the end of this portion. Remaining I will be taking in our next class.